Welcome back to RobMotive. Kind of a quirky Tacoma video this morning. It's actually morning here. When you see it, it'll be in the afternoon. Anyway, there's a few things, dimensions, that you have to consider when you're adding mods or accessories to the Toyota Tacoma. And these are things I never really thought about until recently. You see, I have a relative who's in the market for a full-size truck. He's looking at some big, giant, honking, lifted Ford F-150. Ford F-150? Anyway, it's some kind of hopped up model. It's been lifted. I think it's got bigger wheels and tires, all kinds of stuff on it. And he discovered that it won't fit in his garage. Now, when I first heard this, I thought it was too long because years ago, I went to buy a Toyota Tundra and I was living in a teeny tiny little house with a teeny tiny little garage, right? And I knew this. So I told the sales guy, I've got to drive it home first. I have to see if it fits in my garage because I'm not going to buy, back in that day, any vehicle that won't fit in my garage. And you see, the reason is because I lived up north and it was cold and snowy and icy in the winter. And I didn't want to go outside and have to scrape off the truck, let it warm up, chisel off the ice. Just didn't want to deal with that. So I brought that Tacoma, or Tundra rather, home, and it hung out of my garage about 1.5 feet. There's no way I could put it in, even if I touched the wall with the front bumper. So I didn't buy it. I just wasn't going to have it. Well, he's run into this same problem, and I got to thinking, you know, there are mods and things that you can do, maybe unwittingly or unknowingly, and then bring your truck home if you've had it done at a shop, or even if you do it in your garage with the door open, and discover it doesn't fit. First of all, let's talk about length. You know, the Tacoma, it fits in most garages, I think, because it's a good length. It's a mid-sized truck. But you can add things to the back that might change that. I've seen people put tire carriers on. You know, they're going to hang off at least probably another, pushing 1 foot by the time you put the brackets on, you know, the little swing arms. Not a lot of people do this, but I have seen it done. And then you've got the width of the wheel and the tire. Pretty soon, it doesn't fit in your garage. So you've gone through the trouble of spending the money for that thing, possibly drilling holes in your Tacoma. God, I hope not. And then discover you can't put your truck in the garage anymore. That would suck. That would be a real bummer. Also, hitch type things. You know, I had a beaver tail step on the back of my Tacoma for quite a while. That thing was pushing somewhere between 4 and 6 inches in length. Now, you probably wouldn't even think about that, right? You buy the thing, you get the lock so that nobody steals it, maybe some bracketry so that it sits on there quietly. I've done all of this. And then pull it in your garage and discover, because that hangs out an extra 6 inches, it won't clear your garage door. They also can be knee busters or shin busters, by the way, depending on your height. I've never had that problem, but people complain about that too. Next up, let's talk about width. Yeah, you can do things to increase the width of your truck. I'm talking about wheels and tires or even spacers. If you look at my truck, it's got a negative offset. My tires stick out. You can see right back there, maybe better up here. But in the end, they stick out about 3 to 4, maybe 4.5 inches beyond the fender well on each side. And I know it's a little hard to see with the angle, but they do. So that means I've added about 6 to 8 inches or so of width to my truck. Now, you have to be careful when you're pulling in and out. I've almost done this myself. I try to get close to the edge so that I have room to work if I'm doing something over there, and then discover my tire is really close to my wall. That would be a bummer, particularly if you're backing out, you grab that wall and just destroy your wall. That'd be a really bad day. But the other problem is, if you have a tight garage, this garage is not too bad. It's a 2-car garage. It's a little bit bigger, but not really. But if you have a narrow garage or even a pole like I have right there, some garages have poles that go up for support. This, of course, is a lift. But if you have a pole in there, that could now be a problem to get around when you pull your Tacoma in because of the wider stance. And mine isn't crazy wide. Some people go a lot more. Some people will go maybe 6, 7 inches or so out by the time you're done with the edge of the tread. It's amazing that they can get that wide, but they can. That could be a big problem. What about parking next to other vehicles? You know, I have found a lot of people use their garages as junk storage spaces. My biggest pet peeve probably is driving by a house that has a garage packed full of boxes and junk. You can't even pull your cars in. But if you're a little more on the conservative hoarding side, you may still be able to pull your cars in, but have so much junk in your garage that they're really tight together. Could be a problem if you go too wide with your wheel and tire setup. Lastly is height. And that's where this person that I was talking to in the beginning is running into trouble. His, I don't believe, is length, it's height. The truck has been raised so far up, and maybe it has something on the roof, I don't know. Maybe it's got a rack, who knows, maybe lights. But it's been raised so far up that it won't clear his garage door. Now, I have an extra tall opening here. This is pretty good size. I mean, I can pull a pretty tall vehicle in here. Because of the ceiling heights I have in here, it's like 14 plus feet. I'm able to have the lift that you see. Most garages are not this tall, your standard garage. So the issue would be adding things to the top of the Tacoma. For example, I've got the sport bar back there that goes a little bit above the roof. That really shouldn't be a problem in a normal garage. But when you add lighting to it, like I've done right there, or maybe even some sort of a camper setup, maybe some kind of a bed rail and throw a tire on top, I've done that before, you could start to run into trouble. In other words, now you can't clear the opening in your garage. All of a sudden, your nicely kept interior Tacoma, away from all the snow and junk in the winter, is now an outside vehicle, only because you didn't take into account the height of what you're either buying in the form of a lift or what you've added to it with lighting, sport bars, campers, bed tracks, who knows? There's all kinds of stuff we do, right? So just a few things to be aware of. You have to be aware of the dimensions of what you're doing to your truck. It may seem like a simple thing, and I'm betting that most people out there never consider these things when they're adding accessories or mods to their Tacomas. Leave a comment, let me know. Ever added anything to your truck and then found out it doesn't fit anymore? What did you do? Did you remove it, return it, send it back? Or is your beloved Tacoma, which has always been kept in pristine conditions, protected from the elements and the animals, now been designated as an outside vehicle? I'd be very curious to know. Be honest. Leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.